So we're going to look at log functions and their graphs right now. And it's important to understand that logs are the inverse of exponentials. And so if you remember with the exponentials I've drawn here, we had these 3 points, -1, 1 over b, 0, 1, and 1b. Those points are all flipped. And remember with inverses, the x's and y's change. So this point in the log form is going to be 1b, -1, the point 1, 0, and the point b1 for all the parent functions. And if you notice, these graphs are still reflected across this line y equals x. And if I folded it there, they should match right on top of each other. So these points all change the x's and y's, and then you have the log function of that parent function. So my domain of the log function, my domain here is what stops because of this asymptote now, right? So my domain is going to be x is greater than 0, not equal to, because it has that vertical asymptote now, and x is greater than 0 or from 0 to infinity. And my range, the graph is going to be going all the way down and nothing stopping it from going up, so it's going to be all real numbers, or from -infinity to +infinity. And the asymptote here is a vertical line, so the asymptote here is going to be at x equals 0, because that's the equation of a vertical line, is x equals the constant. And the intercept is the x-intercept you're going to have at the point 1, 0. So I'm going to write the end behavior for each one right here next to it. And as x approaches, and x is approaching the asymptote at 0, f of x is going to be approaching, because it's going to be going down there, that means f of x is approaching -infinity. And as x approaches on the right side of the graph, x is approaching +infinity. F of x is going up, so it's approaching +infinity. And for this one, as x approaches, again, it's approaching the 0, the asymptote. F of x is approaching +infinity there. And as x approaches +infinity, the f of x, or the y's, are going down, and so f of x is approaching -infinity. And this graph is when b is between 0 and 1. This is like your exponential decay, and it's the inverse of that exponential decay, where this is the inverse of your exponential growth. And so all the other functions are based off those parent functions, just translated and shifted. This a will still compress it or stretch it, where if the a is greater than 1, it stretches it, and if it's between 0 and 1, it compresses it. And remember, if it's a negative, it will flip it over the x-axis still. I'm not going to have you graph any that have an a other than maybe -1, but you do still need to know that transformation if there is an a. So for these functions, I'm going to draw the parent functions first and then shift them to with the translations that are shown. So the parent functions I'm going to do in red. So the parent function for this one is log base 6 of x. And if you remember, I have those 3 points, 1 over b, -1, 1, 0, and b1. And this is the log 3 points for logs. So in this case, I'm going to have those points 1 over 6, -1. So here I'm going to have the point 1 over 6 in my x, -1 in my y, which is going to be right here. And remember, I have this asymptote here for my parent function at x equals 0. So I have that point 1 over 6, -1, 1, 0, and 6, 1. And this would be my parent function. Well, this, you have to understand, is that my h or my k? Well, because it's not in the parentheses, it really is my k. So all these points are going to be shifted down 1. And the graph of this one is going to look like this purple one. This is my new graph. Go ahead and try to do this one on your own. Remember, first graph the parent function, log base 1/3 of x, and translate it using the a, h, and k. So this is my parent function points, and my parent function should look like this. And then when I put the +2 on it, understand that this is inside the parentheses. So what that means is it's going to be shifted left 2. So you should now have these 3 points. My line isn't very straight, but you should have these 3 points. And when I shifted left 2, my vertical asymptote shifted to be at x equals -2 now, and it wasn't shifted up or down any. Did you hear about the ice that lost its job? It was crushed.